So I am here in the Urban Annex Theatre at Drexel University with producer J. Todd Harris. I just want to thank you for taking time out of your schedule to do this interview with us.
I'm thrilled to be here.
So you've worked on dozens of films and over many years, and they've ranged from different genres and different tastes. What is it that gets you interested in a project that makes you want to produce it?
Money.
Yeah. That's a good answer.
That's not true. Although it is, as one matures and one has more responsibilities, one becomes perhaps maybe a little less precious about what one takes on. But counterbalancing that is sometimes, after having made so many movies, some of which were ridiculous, one does aspire to a higher calling, of course, especially right after the Academy Awards and everybody's won all these awards for making all these glorious movies. One is always, looking for that great material. When I first started out, I was just attracted to any interesting screenplay. I just thought, this is an interesting story. I want to tell this. And I've made some of those movies, and over time, I've become a little more sensitive about who's going to see the movie, and thinking about, is there an audience for this movie? Now that said, occasionally I'll read something that just seems like a really great independent film. I am the guy that passed on the screenplay, The Station Agent, which turned out to be a cool little movie by Tom McCarthy. I'm also the guy that looked at Brokeback Mountain and said, "Oh, a movie about gay cowboys. Who's going to want to see that?" So I try to think about who's going to see the audience, and I try to see if there's a marketing hook in the material itself, or is there something unique about it? If there isn't an obvious audience or an obvious hook, is there something that offers the opportunity to transcend? Is there something that could really stand out in the marketplace? Is there a reason to make this movie? Not just another whatever.
Awesome. Now, I think it was 2010. Time flies. It's been 3 years, but The Kids Are All Right, which is probably one of I guess it's an independent film, but doesn't really necessarily mean independent anymore the way it did back, when Soderbergh was doing, Sex, Lies, and Videotape. How did you get involved in that project? Because that turned out to be quite the Brokeback Mountain.
Right. Well, I wish I could take all the credit in the world for coming up with the idea and getting Annette Bening and Julianne Moore and really leading the charge. But when one looks at the credits, one will see that I'm one of many executive producers, and an acquaintance of mine who's one of the main producers called me a few months before production was coming together, and this had been a Lisa Cholodenko project that she'd been trying to make for a long time, and they were short on money, and so in that sense, it is very much like a Steven Soderbergh film. It's just like, where can we get the money?
That's true.
So I was able to find some critical financing for the movie a few months before it went into production, and most of the rest of it took its own course. It's interesting, though, some of the best movies really get financed by private individuals or private equity, or not by a studio, or not by a traditional financing source. And literally, this, The Kids Are All Right was financed by several investors, totaling $4.5 million. And then it went to Sundance, and it was, took off from there. Right. It's interesting to see how certain, like The King's Speech. The King's Speech, no studio financed that. It was $14 million from pieced together. It's not like Jeffrey Rush or Colin Firth necessarily galvanized millions of dollars because they were attached to it. But there was the producers were very passionate about it. They believed in it very strongly. They found the money between England and Australia. They pieced together the financing, and then you want somebody like Harvey Weinstein to see it and take a shine to it, because really, if you watch the trajectory of King's Speech from when it premiered at Toronto to the Academy Awards, it was really, love him or hate him, Harvey Weinstein knows how to work this thing.
Yeah, that's true.
And that was the year I thought Social Network had it sewn up. I thought Social Network, and personally,
Personally, I think it's a
Social
good film too,
Network
yeah.
was, for me, a transcendent film because I thought it had so much to say about us. Not just technologically, which it was really interesting technologically, but really about us and wealth and creativity and innovation and watching. In a sense, it's a very depressing commentary on
Yeah.
human nature,
True.
because there are billions of dollars at stake, and how much is enough? I mean, was there not enough money to go around? My kids were watching it again on cable the other day, and I was just watching that scene where Andrew Garfield comes running into the new headquarters for Facebook, and Justin Timberlake is there saying,
Right.
your
Escort him out,
history,
yeah.
get him out of the building, and you just want to go,
Yeah, I punch Justin really hard. Never wanted to beat Justin Timberlake up so much after
So
seeing
much.
that film.
which means he's a good actor.
Yeah, it's true. He did very well in that film. I thought it was a brilliant film.
Me too.
Now, you're here at Drexel
Yes.
to do. You have a presentation tomorrow, and you also have a workshop.
Well, it's a 6-hour workshop. It's all day. It's a workshop seminar. Starts at 11, goes till 5. The focus really is filmmaking is changing so much. We're making a film right here with a camera on a stick. So
Pretty much a stick.
a nice stick.
A nice stick. It's made of metal.
It's just a very dynamic time for making movies, and the question really for people is, how does one make a movie? I try to take people on the journey from why make a movie, what is a producer. Even if you're a director, you kind of need to be a producer. Even if you're an actor or a writer or whatever, if you want to get a movie made, you've got to take on some producing capacity. Even if that means just finding somebody else to do most of the producing. And then it's the whole experience of finding what to produce, finding that material, controlling that material, developing that material, packaging that material, and then going after the money. And are we raising $100,000 or $100 million? Are we doing Slacker or are we doing Avengers? It's this huge range, and what I talk about now is, having made almost 40 movies, the experience is good and bad, where I went right, where I went wrong. Thinking now about who's going to see the movie. Are you making it for the right price? How are you going to market the movie? There's so much to take into consideration, and also because what's happened is the democratization of production, revolutionized by the digital age, is now catching up with distribution. And it doesn't really have to be on 3,000 screens anymore, at least not in movie theaters.
Right.
I think with people like Netflix or companies like
Right, of course.
Netflix breaking through with the new Kevin Spacey series, and my kid watched an entire movie on in 9 pieces on YouTube the other day. I was like, really? That's how you want to watch a movie?
Yeah, I know.
So
crazy.
I think that we need to think about how people are consuming movies, and take a lesson from the record business, which we know was decimated and then sort of
kinda held
hopefully
out,
rejuvenating now. But yes, the way we make and consume movies is changing very rapidly, and therefore what we make movies about and how we bring movies to life has to be sensitive to that.
Right. It should be a very interesting seminar.
I'm excited to be here.
Yeah. And just quickly, what other productions do you have going on at the moment or in the future?
Sure. Well, I just finished shooting last summer a movie called Lucky Stiff. It's a musical starring Jason Alexander.
Okay.
We are cutting that right now in New York City. And I'm hoping in the next year or so to make a movie about Frank Lloyd Wright.
Awesome. Yeah.
I'm actually working on a movie, a rowing movie, set at Annapolis, at the Naval Academy. I am working on a movie set in London called The Secret Evidence, which is based on a true story of a young couple. He's Arab, British, and she's just British, and he is implicated in a terrorist act. and gets thrown into the British prison system. And the question is, did he do it,
Right.
or didn't he do it? And so I'm excited about that, and you know, just probably half a dozen other things, but those are the things that are on the boil right now.
Awesome. Stay here on the Pretentious Film Majors channel for more news on all things movie related.